In 1944, John Bowlby conducted an experiment with juvenile delinquents to determine whether there is a correlation between maternal deprivation in infancy and adolescent delinquency. Bowlby hypothesized that breaking the maternal bond with the child during the early years of its life will have serious and irreversible effects on its intellectual, social, and emotional development. Bowlby believed that mental and behavioral problems could be attributed to early childhood. His evolutionary theory of attachment suggests that children come into the world with the instinct to form attachments with others in order to help them survive. The attachment keeps the mother and child close to each other. Separation results in feelings of anxiety. The child is happy to wander and explore, knowing it has a safe place to return if things turn nasty. This is necessary for its cognitive development. These behaviors are instinctive and will be activated by separation, insecurity, and fear. Babies are born with social releasers that ensure proximity to the mother figure, including crying, smiling, and crawling. Bowlby hypothesized that both infants and mothers have a biological need to stay in contact with one another. He initially believed that a child would form only one attachment figure, which acted as a base for exploring the world. This figure acts as an example for all future relationships, including romantic relationships as well as friendships. Bowlby stated that a child has an innate need to attach to one main attachment figure called monogamy. The relationship with the mother is different than any other form of attachment. Bowlby said that a child should receive the continuous care of this single attachment figure for the first 2 years of its life. He believed that mothering was useless if delayed until 2.5 to 3 years old. If this attachment figure is broken or disrupted during the critical 2-year period, the child will suffer irreversible consequences until the age of 5. Bowlby believed there would be a period in which they were most likely to develop, similar to the critical period. He thought that for the human infant this was between 4 and 6 months. After this period, it becomes difficult for the child to form a first attachment. Bowlby's maternal deprivation hypothesis theory says that the disruption of the child from the mother will result in long-term cognitive, social, and emotional difficulties. If this is true, should a mother leave her child at daycare while she works? Bowlby suggested that the long-term effects of maternal deprivation include delinquency and reduced intelligence. as well as increased aggression, depression, and affectional psychopathy. Affectional psychopathy is the inability to show affection or concern for others. Individuals act on impulse rather than thinking about the consequences for their action, including showing no guilt. The internal working model is a cognitive framework for understanding the world, self, and others. It provides a model of others being trustworthy, as well as the self being valuable. It is also a model of the self as effective when interacting with others. Bowlby believed that the relationship between the infant and its mother during the first 5 years of its life was most crucial to socialization. He believed that the disruption of this primary relationship could lead to a higher incidence of juvenile delinquency, emotional difficulties, and antisocial behavior. He noted that the model age for appearing in court for theft was 13 years, suggesting that theft was a childhood condition. In 1938, 9 out of 10 crimes were thefts, and half of these were committed by someone under the age of 21. Over 1/6 of the thefts were carried out by children under the age of 14, and at the time of 16, 1/3 who appeared in court had been charged before. To support his hypothesis, Bowlby studied 44 adolescent juvenile delinquents in a child guidance clinic. These adolescents were compared to 44 adolescents who were also emotionally disturbed but did not steal. Bowlby found that half of the juvenile thieves had been separated from their mothers for longer than 6 months during their first 5 years, while the control group only had 2. "32% of the thieves showed affectional psychopathy. They were not able to show feelings towards others. 5 of the thieves suffered from mild depression and 2 had a very low IQ. "12 of the thieves diagnosed with affectional psychopathy had experienced a long period of maternal separation before the age of 5. They had spent most of their early years in residential homes or hospitals and were not often visited by family. Only 17% of the thieves not diagnosed as affectional psychopaths had experienced maternal separation. 2 of the control group had experienced a prolonged separation in their first 5 years. Bowlby concluded that the reason for the antisocial behavior and emotional problems among the thieves was due to maternal deprivation. Bowlby claimed that once the attachment bond was broken, the negative effects could not be reversed or undone. Bowlby suggested that an attachment figure as a child contributes to the way a person raises their own child in the future. Bowlby did not consider other possibilities for the criminal behavior, factors that caused the initial separation, such as divorce. The study relies on the recollections of participants, which may be unreliable. Some of the children had only been separated for short periods of time. This should not have led to bond disruption. Bowlby also failed to recognize the father as a possible attachment figure. The study was vulnerable to researcher bias. Bowlby conducted the experiment himself and made the diagnosis of affectional psychopathy. He knew whether the children were in the theft group or the control group. This could decrease the validity of the experiment. The attachment theory today says that the effects of early deprivation can be overcome. They are not as permanent and irreversible as Bowlby said.